on a weekend where the 100-meter dash once again dominated the headlines. I was looking to see Christian Coleman on the track, and I didn't, because we've been waiting to see him run fast in the year 2025 the entire season, and with the USA Championships now coming. Like, there's really no big meets anymore between now and the USAs. One question that everybody seems to be asking is what is going to happen to Christian Coleman, and I am here to answer it. I'm just going to give my honest thoughts on everything, because I try to separate my fandom from my analysis. Like, I want to call it like I see it, and like put my feelings in a box. But I'm actually a Christian Coleman fan, always have been. Enjoy watching him sprint, and I want to see him in the winner's circle. But we also got to call it out. Like, we got to see what's actually going on and then address it for what it is. Because if Christian Coleman can make Team USA this year, and for that matter, go over to the Worlds and get a medal, like, that would be a very big deal. Because we've seen athletes in the past who had bad seasons. I mean, hey, call it what it was. Like, the seasons didn't go well, but they figure it out at USAs and they get on the team. And for the most part, that's all that people will ever remember. But this year, let's put all the facts on the board, because I don't think most people remember. I'm gonna break this down in 3 different ways, because like I said, I'm gonna air it all out. The first thing is we gotta establish who Christian Coleman actually is. I've already done videos where I talk extensively about his history, high school, college, early professional. I'm not gonna go over all that. No need to go back on it right now. But I'm gonna focus on one point. Christian Coleman is the Russell Westbrook of sprinting. Like, if you know about what Russell Westbrook was in the NBA, he's a guy who got a lot of flack, and people have, been negative about whether he can win championships or lead your team to a title. And he's a flawed basketball player, but one thing is also true. He won the MVP award in the NBA, and when he did it, he led the league in player efficiency rating at the same time. You don't have to know much about basketball. Just follow this. There was a year where he was the baddest man on the basketball court, and because everybody knew it, like, he was the best player on that court for that entire season, we continue to hold him to that standard because we expect him to be that. It doesn't matter if the world around him is changing. New people come into the NBA, certain players improve and get better. What matters is we remember seeing him at the top. So a lot of his negative attention comes that way. I think Christian Coleman is going through the exact same thing, because from 2017 to 2019, for the most part, he was arguably the best sprinter out there. Whatever he touched turned to gold, or at least as close as you could get to it. He's a world champion in 2019, dominates the NCAA circuit, sweeps the short sprints, indoors and outdoors, 60, 200, 100, 200, collegiate records, indoors in the 60, outdoors in the 100, goes on to win multiple world championships indoors in the 60. But I mean, if we're just talking in that window, he did it, in that gap. And then 2018, there was no worlds, but he won whatever he could that actually existed during that year. This is Christian Coleman. That is what people remember. And that was actually a while ago. So if we fast forward between that moment, everything that went down till 2024, like, I'm gonna skip over the rest of it, no need to go back on it. What we have to remember is what he just came off of to what this season has looked like. Because I'm gonna tell you what it all means as far as I can tell, but like I said, let's get all the facts on the board, not some of them. People like to be selective as far as, kind of what we remember. I want to remember all of it. In 2024, what stands out the most is he did not qualify for Team USA for the Olympic Games individually in the 100 and the 200, but he was 4th in both events. 4th. He ran incredibly fast in both events. He broke 20 in the 200 at the Olympic trials. Very important. Normally that would have got you on the team. And in the 100, he still ran 9.8s and 9.9s consistently throughout his rounds. Again, he was 4th behind Fred Curley, Kenny Bednarik, and Noah Lyles. The times that he was running in both of those events, like, if we had been able to send him over to the games, he was likely going to make the final in both of those events. Like, if that version of Christian Coleman went to the games, he would have been at least a finalist. Don't know if he's getting the medal. That's a toss-up. But considering Fred Curley was 3rd at the USAs, but also 3rd in the Olympics, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that he could have moved up and actually gotten close to, if not gotten a medal. Again, Christian Coleman just came off of that. The other thing that also happened is that, unfortunately, when it comes to the Olympic 4x1, I gotta say this part, he didn't get a medal there either. Because Christian Coleman has run on the Olympic relay multiple times. Just individually things don't work out. And every time he represents for Team USA, we don't get a medal. But that's a problem that's way bigger than him. So when you get to 2025, he changed his coach, and, a lot of people have talked on it. I'm not going to focus on that part at the moment. But Christian Coleman is what he is, because 2025 is the first time in a long time that he didn't run a legitimate indoor season. He's the world record holder in that event for a reason. And the way he runs the 100, this is how I'm calling it from my, my perspective. Remember, I'm trying to analyze this, somewhat as a fan, but let's really get into the details of track and field analysis. Not so much the coaching side, but watching races unfold. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. When Christian Coleman runs, his superpower has always been the start. The 60 meter that he gives you shows up in the 100, and then he tries to hold on for dear life to get to the line. And normally that is good enough to hold off at least most of the world's fastest men. That's just what it is. But if you take away that start, just being real, Christian Coleman becomes incredibly pedestrian. From what I understand, he's trying to break bad habits and to some degree reinvent himself as a sprinter. I'm not here to say whether he will or he won't. All we know is what we've witnessed in 2025. Because just like Russell Westbrook in the NBA, I'm going to make the comparison again. He is what he is. Gilbert Arenas said it this way. What are you more afraid of? Are you afraid of a lion that is behind the cage in the zoo, or one that's running wild? Because the lion that's running wild is the one that's going to scare you the most. Christian Coleman is like that lion. You could try to put him in a zoo and try to, make him conform. I just don't really see the point in the matter. He is what he is. Let the lion run wild. Let him do what he does. Hey, there's going to be some good and bad here. He's going to get off. That part is going to be good. He's going to get off that block. But what's going to happen in the back part is also going to be a toss-up. But at least he'll be in the front of the race first. So, again, that's my opinion on the coaching side. I get it. My opinion probably doesn't really matter. It's just how I see it. But in 2025, these are the races we actually saw. Again, I'm going almost entirely from memory. First time he actually got on the track was at the Tom Jones Memorial in a race where he didn't win. I'm actually going to get out ahead of all of this. He didn't win one 100-meter race. Not one. This entire season. Just saying. These are the facts. Never crossed the line in front in any of the times we saw him. But at the Tom Jones Memorial, he was, I believe, third in that field. He then went on the Diamond League circuit and ran 2 races. He got 4th and 5th in both of them. Again, the field don't really matter. We're just talking about where he placed. Then he goes over to Tokyo. This is a Continental Tour event. And when he gets over to that race, once again he gets 3rd. It was a gentleman whose name almost nobody recognized who won that race, and Christian Miller who actually beat him, who also beat him at Tom Jones, might I add. And then the next time that we actually saw him on the track, after that string of races, was actually in the infamous Sprint Series meet. I say infamous because by now you've probably heard that in the Sprint Series meet in Florida, a high school runner, Maurice Gleaton Jr., showed up, and Christian Coleman finished behind him in both the prelims and the finals. Technically, the high school runner was DQ'd in the final, so we can toss that out to some degree, but even then, Christian Coleman still didn't win that final. So, even when he's running in a Sprint Series meet, hosted by his training group, he wasn't in the front. And after all the races I just said, the last time we saw him was at the Prefontaine Classic, and depending on how you look at it, that race was the best one or the worst one that he ran the entire season. Because when the gun went off with Shane Thompson on the starting line, Christian Coleman, who was the defending champion for Prefontaine, Christian Coleman takes the Diamond League very seriously. Because even though his, situation with USAs and Worlds hasn't gone ideally over the last few years, he's still been taking care of business on the Diamond League. Diamond League final last year, Diamond League final champion in the year before, 2023. Christian Coleman does this. The Diamond League, he's about that life. And he got 7th at the Prefontaine. But it was a win legal season best, 10.06 seconds. Let that sink in. We're headed to USA's right now, and we haven't seen Christian Coleman run faster than 10.06. When you look at the USA leaderboards, he's not even in the top 15. That is the Christian Coleman who's going to come to the starting line. We can slice it whichever way we want to, but the facts are the facts. In 2025, Christian Coleman has had far below average results in every race he showed up in. He hasn't won any of them. He's normally not even finishing in the top 3, which is important because that's what he's going to need at USA's to make the team. And the clocks have not been fast. Something could change at USA's, and I certainly hope that it does, because when you have a Team USA that goes over to the Worlds or the Olympics, people think that the red, white, and blue is what's running fast for you. The uniform has nothing to do with it. It's the people in that uniform. It's the reason why when we send over people who, I call them like they get those random spots, or that sometimes there's a last spot open on the 100 or the 200. Kind of like what happened in 2023, where Christian Coleman made that team in the 100 and made that World Championship final and had a decent shot at getting the medal, but ultimately did not. He actually didn't win USA's that year. That was Cravon Charleston, but he didn't make the final. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why, but ultimately, he's a name that we didn't really know up until that moment, and a name that we really haven't seen much from ever since that moment. Again, these are the facts. It just is what it is. Christian Coleman is on the top line of talent. Anybody who says that he's not really doesn't want to be truthful about the situation. If you're not rooting for Christian Coleman, that's fine. But just realize, whoever else you're about to take is likely not going to be able to give you the same level of quality at his best. He just has to figure out how to get that out of his bag and give it to us when he needs to. The USA Championships is that moment where if Christian Coleman can run fast, again, because he's done it multiple times throughout his career, he's actually one of the fastest we've seen from 2015 till now. Like, if he can give us anything close to that, I mean, the time don't even matter. You just got to beat people. All will be forgiven. Like, people can just act like none of this really happened. Because then we can buy into the argument that all these races don't mean anything. The only thing that does happen is what you do at USA's and beyond. But if USA's doesn't go the way it would need to for him, then yeah, all of these races that we say don't mean anything. I mean, I still think they do either way, but they actually give us a pretty good indication of what we're working with, more than people want to admit. Because you can't just flip a switch as far as I can tell. Like, just pull up to any meet that you really want to flip a switch, especially when you haven't been running fast. Normally, we see a warning shot. Like, we see one before the big moment. And this year with Team USA, the way Kenny B and, Trayvon Bromell have been running, I really think there's only one spot available for that team anyway. I mean, if we're talking on talent, you've got Fred Curley to go through, maybe Brandon Hicklin, like that, maybe, but I'd put Fred Curley ahead of him based on past performance. And then you've got, Christian Coleman as well, past performance, but that past performance isn't 2025. Even Courtney Lindsay, you could throw him in there, but I wouldn't put him as high because his 100s, more or less over the last 2 years, haven't been at that level. He's really been more focused on the 200 from what I can tell. Other people are going to be there. Like, other people will be at the USAs. I'll talk more about that in another video. But still, this is Christian Coleman's moment. I mean, I'm not going to call it his last stand, but this moment is going to be something, because the narrative of his career is going to be shaped by what happens at this USA's. Because track and field really isn't just about running fast. It's about running fast in the one race that you actually need to run. And in Christian Coleman's case, that one race can rewrite the script for an entire season in less than 10 seconds. In the sport of track and field, race day is honestly the easy part, because all of the real work gets put in when nobody is watching. When you wear every day is training day gear, you can let the whole world know that your success in competition is not an accident. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below, and it always comes with free shipping. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.